All right, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all the latest in television, entertainment news, and Oscar nominations with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and the third one is
Kyle Bridger. And I totally forgot to blank to your blank to your blank, but I'm going to do it on the fly. And I'm going to say that I am Rand to John's Uncle Milty, and Dave, you can be Erica, Rand's porn star wife.
I was so ready to take off my shirt and show you my tattoos, and I thought it was gonna be Tommy. I was, nope, I guess not. I did all this makeup and work for nothing tonight. I sat in the chair getting those tattoos for hours, and
oh, for sure,
nobody will see them on this audio podcast. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about Pam and Tommy. We're gonna talk about last week we talked about some murder mystery type shows. This week we got another one with Murderville. And then we have the mystery that is the Academy Awards. We're going to talk about the nominations tonight. We're going to break them all down. They happened this morning, so it's a quick turnaround of just trying to figure them out. Because a lot of things happen, surprises, snubs. We'll break it all down.
You could say we're very topical.
There you go.
Dual redundancy. We're at the pulse, man.
We're at the pulse. This week, no in and out points. I remembered the name. Not this week. Instead, we have this special awards segment with its own theme. John?
I think you're looking at an Academy Award nomination also.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
What? Yes, Victor!
Oscars. I smell Oscars.
You see what a little buzz can do in this town?
I predicted it. I said this is the one. This is the vehicle. Morley, you told me not to do it.
All right. The 94th Academy Awards. Oscar nominations are out. They were announced this morning by Tracy Ellis Ross and Leslie Jordan for the ceremony that will take place March 27th on ABC. In March, we will be predicting them, of course, our annual podcast with the good, the bad, and the watchable. But tonight, we're just reacting to the nominations. No predictions tonight. Come March, predictions. We're going to start off with the big picture. That's what they called it. It's the best picture. We're going to talk about major nominations first. The Power of the Dog led with 12 nominations, followed by Dune with 10. And then Belfast and West Side Story had 7. And then you can see there, King Richard had 6. Those are our top 5 films. They got some nominations today. Those films are also up for Best Picture alongside Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, King Richard, or Licorice Pizza, and Nightmare Alley. All right, we got 10 films here. Let's get your initial thoughts, Kyle. These 10 films, are they the best pictures?
I gotta be honest, I haven't seen many of these. I'm gonna have to do some homework over the next couple of weeks here, but honestly, just looking at the list, I'm not too impressed. There's nothing that stands out to me. I'm not a big musical guy, so West Side Story really isn't my thing. Even though I did like Tick Tick Boom, which I'm surprised is not in here. But yeah, I've heard some great things about Coda. Surprised to see Don't Look Up. It has a divisive Rotten Tomatoes ranking. I really like Dune. I expected them to kind of clean up in the technical awards, right? With the production design and everything they have going on there. Excited to see Licorice Pizza, and I'm actually surprised to see that King Richard got so many nominations. In fact, some of the top, the most, So it's just interesting to see, because to me, it seems like a down Oscar year. Just in my perspective.
Definitely. A lot of these films, at the moment, I've only seen 5 of the 10. I got more to see, at least of the best pictures.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like, all right, okay, fine. There's a couple that I liked more than others. Looking at the ones I've seen so far, Coda and probably Licorice Pizza are higher on my list, especially, I did not really care that much about Don't Look Up. King Richard was okay. Dune, impressive technical achievement. But yeah, it's just fine. They're just okay. And, these are the 10 we got. Last week we talked about the Producers Guild. That's what we have. Our 2 images up here on the Twitch stream. And usually we talked about how they usually match up, and for the most part they did. You know, what is that? 80% they got right. They left off Oscar nomination morning being the Ricardos and Tick Tick Boom. Those got PGA noms. Those did not get an Oscar nom today for Best Picture. Instead, Drive My Car and Nightmare Alley did in those spots there. As you said, I like Tick Tick Boom. I would like to have seen that probably in here over some other of the films that were picked. I don't know what happened. I did see Being the Ricardos over the weekend. Not for me. I'm usually an Aaron Sorkin kind of fan. Social Network, West Wing, stuff like that did not work really for me at all. So I kind of was glad that didn't make the Best Picture lineup. Is there any films, John, that you're surprised to see? I know you've seen a couple of these for the podcast.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any real surprises on my end. There's a couple in here that I haven't seen, so I don't know if I really have much of an opinion on them, but the rest that I have seen looks good. Yeah.
And I am, we mentioned no Tick Tick Boom. They just got one for Garfield and for film editing. Some other ones that kind of got, no love was The Last Duel, which I was actually surprised. That's another film I think is, up there for me in my tiers with Tick Tick Boom and, maybe some of the other films.
It could have been.
I thought
it could have been maybe a subject matter thing there.
It could be. It definitely had the way the screenplay, the multiple perspectives was a unique kind of point that maybe could have been a screenplay nomination. Jodie Comer obviously had a great performance in that role. So I was surprised for, 0 across the board for that film. Also nothing, The Last Night in Soho, which is an Edgar Wright film. Of course, you got The French Dispatch, which, production design, costuming, cinematography, that could have been something there technical wise. But yeah.
One thing I hope this award season, if it wasn't from last award season, is just like getting rid of this streaming platform is bad for movies kind of thing. Because, Dune, even though, HBO Max, Coda's, Apple TV, Power of the Dog, Netflix. So, I think that discussion is over with, right? You got to assume, right?
I hope so. It's
the 21st century. Come on.
I would hope so. I'm going to get into some of these numbers in a second and Netflix's track record, but they've worked with some of the greatest directors at this point, whether it's Martin Scorsese, Alfonso Cuarón, Jane Campion here for Power of the Dog. The list goes on and on with the people that they've worked with. David Fincher for Mank. It's like they're giving all these directors the chance to make their passion project. And it's like, no, we're going to go with whatever, and it's just, okay, it's your choice. It's just because of that label, the stigma of streaming.
Yeah.
Oh my God, streaming. But it's like, as you said, Dune was technically streaming, King Richard as well. Nightmare Alley was in theaters for 2 weeks. It didn't do that well, and now it's already on Hulu and HBO Max as we speak.
Yeah.
Coda, Apple TV Plus. It's just like, Don't Look Up is in there. Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah.
But either way, we knew even before they announced these nominations probably, but it's probably going to be even more so. It's going to be low ratings for these Oscars. Compared to last year's historic low, these 10 Best Picture nominees, again, we mentioned streaming, but even if you look at the box office, the domestic box office, 191 million total for all these films.
Wow.
Dune technically has over half of that total because they made 107 million domestically. That was the top film here. It just cracked 100 million. A lot of people were hoping in a way to have Spider-Man No Way Home get one of these spots for saving movie theaters and being a crowd favorite, but obviously that's not the case. And I wonder if the Academy almost wanted that, just to have some kind of whether it's Black Panther or Avatar or some kind of blockbuster to get people I gotta
incentive
tune
to
into the
watch it,
Oscars. But no, they don't have that here. But Last week when we were discussing the Guild nominations, I did mention it was going to probably be Belfast versus Power of the Dog. That's what the race was looking at with all the Guild nominations. I still think it's looking that way, but I think a big advantage today went to the Power of the Dog. It's just the most nominations with 12. I mean, it cleaned up. It did more nominations in categories that it didn't expect to get nominations in. A lot of acting ones, obviously directing and writing, and it got something across the board. But I will say, most nominations don't automatically mean a win. And this goes to what you were kind of saying a little bit with the Netflix stigma, because I'm going to read off 3 here, and you can tell me if it's going to change this year, Kyle. But last year, 2021, Mank, 10 nominations. It led the pack, just 2 wins. Joker in 2020 led the pack. Obviously, that's not a streaming film. They had 11 nominations, won 2. But The Irishman was second on that list. 10 nominations, Goose Egg. 2019, The Favorite and Roma tied for 10 nominations. Roma won 3, Favorite got 1. But none of these films, you got 3 Netflix films there, none of them won Best Picture. So it doesn't really always correlate. Most nominations equals Best Picture. Do you think that could change here? Do you think any of these top 5 films could be the Best Picture winner, or is it going to be something completely different?
How is the balloting done again? Is it preferential?
I believe so. I mean, the Academy has been changing so much with adding different voices and different people into this group. So it's definitely have been changing the films that would normally get in. From the last time I checked, it's a complicated system, but it is a ranked preferential ballot. So it's like, okay, this is my number 1 film, 2 film, 3 film. So, and then sometimes it's that 3rd or 4th film that will get the most votes.
With that preferential ballot, I mean, I still have to see Power of the Dog, but it could turn people off just by, the subject matter, the length of it, and stuff like that. So, you take that preferential ballot, then you're choosing your 3rd best option. Could you see something like a Dune? Could you see Coda is really all over the place, all over social media? People really, really like it. So is it going to be a film that, people do enjoy, and it might not be their top, but it's going to be everyone's 2nd or 3rd? There's a possibility. And it could be for a film like Coda. And I think that's what makes it fun for these other films. It's like, just because you were nominated doesn't mean that you're going to automatically win it. That's how it used to, I feel like how it used to be. It's like,
and I feel like sometimes it's more of the film that overall people like. Yeah, and that's why I could think it could be something like a Belfast, a King Richard, or like a Coda, where it's like, all right, it's okay, a heartwarming story, and I don't think it's going to be something divisive like Don't Look Up, where there's people that love it and there's people who hate it, and it's just like, I don't think it's going to work out for a film like that. I realize I kind of skipped over how the balloting works. I'll try to explain it quickly and succinctly, but it's all films are up for it, and you have a sheet, pretty much imagine 1 through 10, and you write in your film, okay, Power of the Dog, my number 1 film, Dune, my number 2 film, and you go through the list, and they'll look at all the number 1 votes, and they'll be like, sorry, Belfast, you're the lowest vote tally here, so your number 1 votes don't matter anymore. Let's now look at the number 2 on the list. The people that like Belfast, their number 2 film was Dune, so now they get those votes.
Okay.
And then it's like they'll go through it until it gets to the majority. And it's like, okay, somebody's ballot, could get down to their 6th favorite film, just if their 5 other favorites are that disliked. But
wow, that is pretty wild.
Yeah. So the Power of the Dog, though, it did get a big nomination today, and that nomination actually is in film editing. That's a big one to get. I need to update my percentages still from last year. I haven't done the math yet. It's been a crazy day. But last year, I said 95% of Best Picture winners have a director's nom, 95% have a screenplay nom, and 83% have a film editing nom. Now, last year, only 2 films had that. Nomadland and Promising Young Woman. Nomadland won. This year, there's one film that has all three. The Power of the Dog.
Oh, man. Oh, well.
So
he's calling it already.
I don't know. It's, if we're looking at stats and history, again, the Academy's changing. Things are, evolving. But based on the old system, that is the old way. Because we'll talk about it in a minute. Dune did not get director. Tick, Tick, Boom did not get best picture. It's like there's all these things that are just not working out for all these other films in the category of film editing.
I think if you're Power of the Dog, you just got to hope that your steam kind of stays up, because I feel like that's what it is. And that's why I'm seeing like all this stuff for Coda. It could be like a rising star. You just got to hope that maybe
it clicks at the right moment.
Yeah. You got to hope maybe if you're Power of the Dog, all these nominations will get people to want to watch it, and then create more buzz around it, and then you're home free.
Because the Oscars are not till March 27th, and the final voting doesn't start until March 17th. So 10 days before, we're over a month away.
Yeah.
I will say, speaking of editing here, I got a little great. Really, Don't Look Up. That was probably one of the worst things for me. The pacing and the length of that film was the editing. This is turning into like that Bohemian Rhapsody thing. It's not most editing or the least editing. It's but all right. I did see this one tweet. It was like, Don't Look Up for best editing Oscar is like Jason Bourne getting nominated for Steadiest Camera.
Oh man,
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of danced around it a little bit here. Next up with total nominations was Dune. It got 10. It has editing, but it's missing the directing. And that is, we knew Dune was going to clean up with total noms within the tech categories and all that stuff, but I never would have thought it would have missed out on Denis Villeneuve for director.
Wild.
Are you shocked as I am, Kyle?
Yeah, it is pretty surprising. With the world that was created. I know it's coming from a book, but he did a good job with it, and it does look really, really good. And I think he did a good adaptation. So
yeah, it's like to have, a best picture. To be nominated already for that, but also to be nominated for writing the film.
Is it
and then
cinematography?
I think it's cinematography.
Yeah.
It's original score. It's sound. It's production design. If you can have all these elements,
aren't you?
If you can have the best makeup and hairstyle, if you can have the best costuming, who made all these decisions? Who made the decisions on? He literally got every category: visual effects, film editing. It's just somebody made it. We don't know who.
Yeah.
So it is like wild that he doesn't make the cut. But then again, you look at the list of people who did make the cut, and it's like, okay, it's a tough category because there's 10 Best Picture nominations. There's only 5 directing nominations. And you have someone like, Steven Spielberg, who's been nominated for Best Director in 6 different decades now. He broke that, he made that stat today. Over 6 decades, he's been nominated for Best Director. Jane Campion for Power of the Dog is the first woman nominated twice for Best Director. Okay. That's one of those stats that they like to say, but then it's like, hang on, Oscars, over 94 years, really? That's it? Yeah. That's not a good thing to be excited about. Like,
what was the other film?
Oh, I don't know. I would have to.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me. But yeah, it's wild because Denis Villeneuve was one of the 5 DGA nominated directors not nominated here, and if we go back to stats, only 2 films have won Best Picture without director. Or without a director nom, and that was 2012's Argo and 2018's Green Book. Yeah. So they were recent ones, but
there's possible options.
I'm trying to figure out this other nomination for Campion.
No, I was just looking it up too.
I want to find out for John. John, I'm doing this.
Is
for
it
you.
The Portrait of a Lady?
It could be. Sometimes it's so easy on Wikipedia to look it up, and then there's other times where it's like, all right, I got personal life, I got this, I got career. It's like, give me the awards.
You gotta know about all
give me the
details.
good stuff here. Yeah, they always have them like backwards. All right, here. Oh my God, she is. All right, here we go. The Piano, 1994.
Piano.
She won for original screenplay, nominated for best director.
Okay.
All right, but
Glad I asked. It's on my list to watch. I just haven't seen it yet.
there you go. There you go. I expect you to watch it now after I stop the
Yeah.
podcast to
Yeah,
pretty
alright.
much do that for you.
Then you got to write it in the Wikipedia journal entry.
Yeah.
Update it.
Yeah. So, another one to add with Denis Villeneuve that's kind of like a surprise that normally would be a shoo-in in a category like this would probably be Aaron Sorkin for being the Ricardos in screenplay. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, Aaron Sorkin's up for it this year. Screenplay. Screenplay. Just you write that in.
Yeah.
I personally did not think it was that great. I don't think it was one of his best works, being the Ricardos. I have some issues with that. I wrote on my letterbox how it's like, of the week you could choose to set your movie around, you pick that week. I feel like there's a much better week that we allude to at the end of the film. So that's my gripe with that.
So like you
But
think they didn't focus on the right time frame?
that, and also, you have some of the greatest comedic stars of all time, that you're trying to
Yeah.
discuss and, show. Maybe make it a little funny. Maybe make your screenplay a little funny. That's my bone to pick. You got comedics, all stars
Yeah.
here. Put some comedy in. But they did recognize the two leads in that, and of course there was I guess a surprise with J.K. Simmons in supporting.
Yeah,
But-
I was surprised to kind of see that.
Yeah, I will say we're going to talk about acting. We're going to talk about the best actor and the best actress categories first. It's kind of a weird year for best actor and best actress because sometimes you see the actors in the best picture nominees. This year, Benedict Cumberbatch and Will Smith are the only best actors that are in best picture nominees for Power of the Dog and King Richard.
Interesting.
And then for actress, 0 are in best picture nominees.
I feel like that happens more with actress though.
Yeah, that is true, and it's usually like we talked about it in our prediction shows. It's like usually it's like, okay, they're in best picture, and then there's like 1 or 2 that are not. Those are the ones that win because it's like they stand out in those films. That was like the powerhouse performance that maybe just is more about the performance than the film as a whole. This year, all of them are they're not in best picture nominees. And then they also don't match up with the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs Best Actress, they also don't match up with them.
Oh, wow.
So when we go to predict this, we're not going to have anything to go off of.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough one. Well, I think Jessica Chastain hopes she wins because didn't she say she damaged her face from all that makeup?
I mean, there was a lot of makeup in the Tammy Faye movie.
I
that's
think
for
I
sure.
read a headline where she said she it like hurt her face or something, like she damaged her face from it. So I bet she hopes she gets a win from it.
Yeah, well, I don't know though. Sometimes those stories don't work out. When you have somebody like Lady Gaga, who for months we've been hearing about all the method acting, and she stayed in character for 2 years of whatever to be this whatever Gucci family person, and it's just like, well, he didn't get a nomination today. So,
Well, House of Gucci didn't get any love at all, did it?
it only got one in I think it's makeup and hairstyle.
Okay, so was it? Weren't we trying to figure out with that if it was like campy? Are they in on it or are they not in on it? Like it was like hard to figure out.
And that's one of the issues I had with it. I know some of our friends at Good Bad and Watchable, I think they liked it more than I did, but watching it, I'm like, everyone felt like in a different movie. There was like people that were like, Jared Leto going way over the top, which he was nominated for a Razzie this week.
Yeah.
Then there was Adam Driver, kind of low key, and then it's like, I guess Lady Gaga's in the middle, but it's like all three are just in. Yeah, is it campy?
Yeah.
Is it serious? Is it? I wish it was more camp. I wish it was more fun, but it like we're on this weird line which we didn't know where we're crossing at certain points, and Twitter is all up in arms about this Gaga snub. She picked up all the precursors before it. BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, SAG, all those nominations came in. So it was kind of like, oh, of course she's going to get in, and nothing. She didn't get in here. Instead, a lot of people were kind of counting out Kristen Stewart, who was getting a lot of critical love, but all the guilds were forgetting her, and so it was kind of like a surprise, a happy surprise for a lot of film Twitter to see Kristen Stewart make it in for Spencer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting race now, where a lot of surprises stay in this category, and I really have no idea where it's gonna go as of this moment.
Yeah. Kristen Stewart, what a weird career, right? In Twilight, it starts out like in Twilight, maybe even before that. I'm sure she had a few films, but like Twilight fame, and now I feel like she's always in some kind of Oscar or highly sought after film. And then you got Robert Pattinson, who's now going to be in like a huge
Batman.
Yeah, the Batman.
Yeah.
It's wild, just wild.
And he's in like a lot of critically acclaimed films. He was also in a blockbuster Tenet. Like both their career. Where's Taylor Lautner? You're next.
Yeah. Isn't
These
he being
things come in
Shark Boy?
threes.
Shark Boy.
No, he was in a Kevin James comedy Netflix film that came out a week or two ago. The coach.
It's
I don't
for Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
He was in that film. So
They should have put Shark Boy in Sharknado.
there you go. You could, crossover. I don't know. I'm looking at some of supporting.
Okay.
I guess there were some snubs here. There was maybe Ben Affleck. He could have been up for Last Duel or Tender Bar. I was actually really kind of mad that he was nominated for a Razzie for The Last Duel. It was not the 5 worst performance of the year. Get out of here.
I will say I did not love it. All I saw was Ben Affleck in a blonde wig and a
I'll give you that. And then you have Bradley Cooper, who I think, a lot of people thought he would be getting in, for Nightmare Alley as a lead actor, but then he started getting up some guilds and some, I think maybe even a SAG nomination for Licorice Pizza for kind of his scene-stealing role there. I think it's John Peters. And, I would have liked to see him in there too. But I will say the one I am excited to see in this category was Troy Kotsur, I believe is his name. He is the actor in Coda. He was kind of like, of when I watched Coda, I was like, oh, I really like this performance. He's kind of the MVP of that film for me. So I was glad to see him, to get in this category. So
and Rojas liked that too, didn't he? I think I saw.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I saw a tweet that he liked that as well. So that guy must be really good. Could he steal it? Maybe.
Maybe. Is there any other supporting nominations that jump out to you, Kyle?
Not really, honestly. I still got to check out some of these films.
It's interesting. I don't know if they're married or if they're just in a relationship. Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst are up. Their first nomination here for Power of the Dog.
I think they're dating, right? Or are they married?
I know they're dating. I'm not sure if they're married yet.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
But
yeah, it's interesting. J.K. Simmons, man, always a scene stealer though and stuff. He's
definitely a
good.
scene stealer, but yeah, I will say, in being the Cards, I was a little let down with him. And maybe I was just let down with the film in general.
Maybe.
But I was surprised to see him in this, even though I love him in other stuff, especially obviously in his first win in Whiplash.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of any other. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys liked or was mad about today. I will say I was personally happy for the Mitchells versus the Machines in the animated category. It came out like almost a year ago, so I was worried it might be forgotten over the Pixar powerhouse of Luca and the Disney film Encanto and all that stuff. But it made it in here. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they won for Into the Spider-Verse. They were terribly snubbed for the Lego movie years ago, so I was happy to see them get another nomination here. Anything else?
I mean,
stand out
I
to you
don't think
guys?
that there's any way that Encanto loses, though.
Yeah.
It's like Frozen.
No.
It's like Frozen again. You know what I mean? It's just everywhere.
Yeah. It is the thing, though, where it's like, is it Encanto, and then Disney also has Luca, and I think they also have I think Raya and the Last Dragon is them too. So it's like, that's the other thing Netflix is going to have an issue with is like, they have Don't Look Up and The Power of the Dog and Tick Tick Boom. And can they put, where's your campaign money going?
Yeah.
Where's all your FYC events going? But
They got to put it on their tab, on their $1 trillion
Yeah.
yeah,
tab.
yeah,
debt tab.
yeah. I'm trying to remember.
But no, I just am glad to see Dune got cinematography. I mean, how could it not? So if it got snubbed, that would have been crazy. But I gotta say, can I say the films that I don't want to see, but I'm gonna have to kind of thing? I have no desire to see West Side Story. Sorry, no desire.
Ouch. I've heard good things.
I know. I've heard it's great.
Are you a fan of the original?
No. That's why I do not
didn't know if you had
this.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't do it for me. It just cannot. I am excited to see Licorice Pizza, but I have not heard a single thing about Drive My Car. What is that?
It's a foreign film, I believe, from Japan. I've been hearing a lot on film Twitter, kind of like, oh, I'm hoping for this one to make it in. I have not seen it. I don't know almost anything what it's about.
Okay.
It's on my list to check out, but yeah, it was kind of a surprise today. As we mentioned, it's up for directing and picture. I think it had maybe one or two other nominations. Yeah, 4 nominations for Drive My Car.
Cool.
But yeah, a lot of these films, it's just like, it's just, I hear Power of the Dog's great. We've talked about it at length here tonight. It's like, but do I want to sit down and watch that, this slow Western for 2+ hours? Same with like Nightmare Alley. It's like 2.5 hours. Like, it's just, it seems like a lot of investment sometimes when you like, oh, I hear it's good, but it looks, and sometimes it surprised me. I really was surprised last year with The Father. I was like, I don't want to watch The Father. Really like The Father. So who knows? But
yeah, but I do know I have homework to do.
Yep, you better get to it. Come March, we'll be predicting these things. We got to know what we're talking about.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to move into a next segment. A film, I guess a show about a making of a film that was an Oscar heavyweight, and that is The Offer. We have to talk about this in Coming Attractions.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
All right, The Offer. April 28th on Paramount Plus. Last week we did Halo. This week we're doing another Paramount Plus show. They're doing a lot of moves in 2022 here, but this upcoming biographical drama miniseries is about the development and production of the landmark gangster film, The Godfather. All right, first, let's start off. What's your association with Godfather? I mean, are you guys fans of that film? Watch it, because Mark DeSisto is probably listening to this, and he's like, you guys better be kind to this film.
Oh, man. I have a kind of a regret, I guess. I can't think of the word that I want to use. It's like escaping me. But I've only seen parts of The Godfather. I've never seen it all the way through.
He's pissed.
I know.
I hate to double down, but I have not seen it either.
Oh, wow. This is like the Sopranos or The Wire of movies, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those either, so I got a lot of catching up to do.
I've definitely have seen it. I've seen I both. I mean, 1 and 2, and then I think they did like a recut of the third one, the Godfather Coda, and I've seen that. But I feel like all these films, they all like blend in together with me. And if you asked me to explain it, I wouldn't be able to. If that makes sense. I appreciate in the moment when I'm watching it, but then like looking back, I'm like, wait, what exactly happened? Like I can't. I'm an idiot. I guess I can't follow these things. But I hopefully will be able to follow The Offer, which is the making of The Godfather. We saw the minute teaser trailer on this.
I want to say this, and maybe since you watched the film, this makes a little bit more sense. They showed all the players in the show, but it was so hard to follow. I'm like, I don't even know what this.
Well, those are all like the producers. The only one I recognized from the film is Francis Ford Coppola, who's Dan Fogler, I believe. Yeah,
like I get that, but still, it was like hard for me to follow in the trailer. Like I'm like,
there's a lot of fast cuts.
Who's who here? And I'm like, why? What happened in the making of this movie? It must have been insane that they were able to make a making of the movie and not have it be like a DVD extra. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the production of the 1972 film. I was busy then. But like it looks like there's like actual mob interference with this film. Like Like, yes, and there's a lot of violence, like outside of the film of violence and mob interference, but like, yeah, the production, man, it's so built up in this trailer where it's a cultural phenomenon. This is not just a gangster film; it's Shakespeare. It's going to be epic, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, after the fact, we know that The Godfather is going to be big, but like before, you don't know it's going to be big, and it's because even in the trailer, they're like, gangster movies are dead. And like Paramount had trouble even getting a director to sign on to do this film. And after the fact, when it gets its Oscars in the box office and the sequels, of course, it's a big deal. But I will say with the trailer, I'm intrigued. I'm not like sold yet. I'm interested.
I am interested.
They made me an offer, and I may or may not refuse it. I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, you did it. You absolutely did that.
Just when I thought I was out, they may be pulling me back in. I don't know. What are some other ones?
No more.
But just I don't know. Yeah, like in the course they did the classic trailer thing where they're building it up, they're making, what are they talking about? And then it wasn't until like the very last shot where they close the book and you see the title The Godfather and you see the first recognizable face of Francis Ford Coppola. You hear the theme music and you're like, okay, it's The Godfather. But the cast though, there's a couple of faces I'm sure you recognized, Kyle.
Miles Teller.
A Ted Lasso person's in there as well.
Who?
I see Juno Temple.
Oh, yeah, Juno Temple, yeah. I was actually going to mention that I was happy that she was in there. I think she's great.
Yeah, and then and it seems like they're going to be like, those are like our main characters here. And while you'll have the characters playing Marlon Brando and Al Pacino and all stuff as the recurring, probably like 1 or 2 episode blink, I'm sure, I have a feeling this is going to be more about the producers and the behind the scenes stuff than the actual, like, we'll see a little bit of them filming it, but I really don't think we're going to spend that much time with that, because it's also just a hard thing to do. You're going to have them recreate some of the most iconic performances of all time. Good luck, whoever's playing Marlon Brando and Al Pacino. Like, could Al Pacino do some de-aged stuff? The Irishman, for the offer.
Yeah, but I feel like we're just going to get shots of them, like, you hear in the background, like, cut! And then, like, a scene of them walking off of the set from there. It's going to be a lot.
In the shadows.
A lot of that.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm interested. Again, it's a hard sell of Paramount Plus. I'm one of the probably few that have it, just from Survivor and Big Brother and some of the other reality stuff that I watch.
Why don't you share it in the Twitch chat?
I'm not falling for that. I'm sure... The Paramount police are watching, but I gotta ask you guys. I mean, between Halo, between The Offer, is there enough stuff right now in Paramount Plus for you guys to be interested in getting it for a month or 2?
I don't know. Maybe when they're both out, and if I'm really looking for something to watch. But
you can do that free trial for 2 weeks.
I've got such a backlog. I could go watch The Godfather instead. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
You probably should. You probably honestly should at this point.
But, I don't know. I'm glad to hear that there's more stuff like actually happening there. But, apples to apples, almost anything else has a ton more things that I want to watch that I haven't seen. So
soon these streaming services are going to have like one tentpole like movie and TV show for their entirety of their thing, I just, I told you my worry about Halo. Like, it could become Power Rangers in a second. So I think I would wait for both of them to run its course and then do a free trial from there.
I hear you.
And then go from there. Well, because I don't really know what else is on Paramount Plus. I'm just streaming serviced out. I'm trying to figure out how to get these back together in a bundle.
Yeah. We need a Showtime Paramount Plus bundle. They need to get on that and make it one service. But we're going to talk about a show that's on Hulu, a kind of recreation of another true life event, and that's Pam and Tommy. In order to talk about it, we have to go back, so send us back.
We're back, baby!
Gotta get back in time.
All right, Pam and Tommy. The series premiere Drilling and Pounding was the name of the first episode. There was also 2 other episodes. I know I've seen 3. John's seen 3. I think Kyle's seen 2 or 3. Yeah. So we're going to probably talk about all of them that have come out on February 2nd, but we're probably mostly going to focus on that premiere episode because there's a lot to talk about there. But this biographical drama miniseries chronicles the marriage between Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee and the release, of course, of their infamous sex tape. All right, John, why don't you start us off? Pam and Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that all 3 of us saw all 3 available episodes stands for something. I know there are plenty of weeks where we come in here and say that we barely slogged through an episode of a TV show. So the fact that we all sat down and watched all 3 kind of speaks. I was very surprised, very, very surprised at Seth Rogen's performance. I don't really follow his stuff. I know him as Weed, like that's all I know him from.
That was good.
Yeah, not too bad. That and what was that food one? Meat Party? I don't remember.
Sausage Party.
Sausage Party, right. Those are the two things I just know. I know him from that. I know him as the weed guy who laughs. Like that's all I know him for. So I was really surprised to see him in this role doing a good job. I enjoy his character. I think that he's doing a great job, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Besides that, I think they're doing a great job setting things up. I think maybe one of my little critiques of it would be the timeline doesn't seem to be cut straight through. So I think we get like little flash forwards and backs, and they're not always clear to me as to where we are in time. But
I hear you. There was points in with the stuff with Seth Rogen and his porn star girlfriend there. I was like, wait, when is this? Oh, this 5 years ago? Oh, no, this is 5 years later. And yeah, there was points where I'm like, wait, when is this exactly in the sex tape stuff?
Even that, the second episode was almost entirely all a flashback.
Yeah,
from the first one. So like, I was I watched that whole episode and I enjoyed it, but I was waiting for, when are we getting back to normal time? When are we getting back to normal? And it didn't for the whole episode. And the episode ended, I was like, oh, weird, okay. But I didn't enjoy it any less. It's just, it was something that I was kind of a little confused on. But yeah, otherwise, I really enjoyed it. And I know that we'll dive a little bit deeper. But usually now we throw to Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I watched all 3 episodes. I like how they've kind of made Seth Rogen's character the main emphasis of the story, because I feel like that is where the meat of this story is. It's not so much Pam and Tommy. I mean, we know who they are, but they're just kind of almost bystanders in this story, which is cool because I'm seeing a character I wasn't familiar with, and what's his backstory and how did all this happen. And what I'm gathering from the first 3 episodes, just from what the show I think is trying to tell me, that Tommy Lee stinks, dude. He sucks to everyone. Well, yeah. Like Pam and
there's points with like Pam where it's like it's almost like he's like, at least from the bits I remember, it's like he's almost like too nice with Pam. At like, I'm like, is this real? Like, is this what's really happening? When he makes the big dinner for her, and it's just like, he seems like a loving boyfriend here, but I'm sure that's not how this story ends.
Yeah, like, because when they were talking about children, I don't know if it was just the way it was acted. It didn't seem like he was really invested in it. And she's like talking about all this stuff, and it just, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't like that particular performance. But I feel like in this specific story, like Pam Anderson is kind of like a victim or a bystander to everything that just happened, Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I have a little bit of I don't know if it's a nitpick or an issue with kind of the first episode and the Rogen stuff, and how kind of, that Pam is this bystander in this story that completely, derailed her life. Yeah. But I want to say, because John just put up the photo, I'm going to start off with a pro of just the actors and the makeup and everything. Lily James and Sebastian Stan. I'm not a Pam and Tommy expert. I'm not that familiar with Lily James, Sebastian Stan, so I don't know. I can't really see which one between the other. But there's points where I'm like, that's Pam Anderson, and that is Tommy Lee watching this show. Like, it's scary how good some of this makeup and the acting and the voices and all that stuff is doing. It really brings me into that world. Like, okay, this is real. What they're creating there. And
I just want to add on to that. I think John's point of Seth Rogen being a great actor in this, in that when you see Rogen's face, you don't get pulled out of it. You get sucked even more into it. So sorry, I just wanted to.
Yeah. No, that's okay. And the thing I had an issue with Rogen, at least in the first episode, with how the show is giving me Rogen, is at first I'm like, okay, we're gonna see the motivation of why Rogen stole this tape to begin with, and yeah, Tommy's a jerk. He's a complete jerk, but like, okay, this is Rogen and how he was wronged by Tommy, and there was points though I felt like it kind of gave him like a sympathetic feel, where it's like we're getting a flashback to his childhood of him being belittled, and all the music, that. The sad music as we see his crummy little apartment, and it's sure, yeah, he's a guy down on his luck, but he also at the same time did this crime against two unsuspecting people, one of which we see is it's a clear jerk. But then I just felt like the tone was off, and I actually spoke to 2 or 3 people after the episode, and they kind of agreed, where it's like, are we giving him motivation, or are we giving him sympathy? And I don't know, from a show's perspective, sympathy is the right thing, because even in that first episode, Pam didn't really speak a full sentence, I don't believe, in episode 1 at all. Like, she is a complete nothing in the first episode. She's barely there. Yeah. But then I just watched episode 3 last night, and the show does this weird, I don't know what to think of it, where she's getting ready for this big monologue. She's very excited. She wants to be seen more of an actress, people looking at her face instead of at her body. And she says this line, and then we cut to her waking up. She goes to do the alarm clock. We see her topless. She immediately walks into the bathroom, still topless. And it's like, what is the show trying to show us there? Where it's like the character in the show is telling us, I want to be more than just my body. And then immediately the show is like, nope, here's my body. So it's like this weird, I'm hoping, I think this show is going to be something that we got to like watch all 8 episodes of to get like the full story of what they want us to take away from this. Because is it going to be something like OJ or the Monica Lewinsky crime story that we saw, where they're saying something about this and the people involved? And that's what I'm going to wait to see.
And I mean, based on Nick Offerman's character, we could easily see Rogen getting, derailed from his cut of this thing that's bad for. Basically, I don't think there's going to be any heroes in this story, because we're dealing with something that was stolen and taken from somebody, and physically with the tape, and then like mentally and emotionally is a whole nother thing. And clearly, I don't think this is going to work out well for Rogen's character. I don't think it's going to. We know it's not going to work.
Doesn't work out for
Pam and Tommy. So, it's one of those things where the wheels get put in motion, and maybe if anybody wanted to stop it, it's just not going to. Because I mean, they were even worried about saying out loud that they had a tape like this. Yeah. And they even mentioning
all the producers that they went to. It's like, you have a release? No. Yeah. Like, well, then don't even think about coming to my office. Like, this is, and the other kind of, I guess, nitpick I have, I feel like the pilot just took a long time to get going. The second episode, when we got the first meet kind of between the two, was a little bit more exciting, I feel like, for me, kind of seeing their backstory. And I wish so much like we can kind of combine those into like a special hour-long combo episode, because it's like, after that first episode, it's like, I know the inside and out of Tommy's house. Like, I know the construction plan, the way the wood he's using in the construction. It's like, this is too much construction detail for me. I don't need all this specifics. Meanwhile, I didn't have any Pam in the first episode, and then we got more in the second. So I wish we kind of reorganized those 2 episodes a bit more. But I will say, that second episode, though, we got to talk about it, guys. The scene of Tommy's Tommy, voiced by Jason Mantzoukas, of course. Perfect. To me, it's wild to think about this little fact here. Internationally, they don't have Hulu. Other countries, instead, they have kind of a hub inside Disney Plus called Star. So for other countries, Pam and Tommy is airing on Disney Plus.
Wow, that is hilarious. Wow. I wonder if it's like password protected or something inside.
I would hope so. Any thoughts on the CGI here and what we saw and the voiceover and everything?
I mean, there's a lot of prosthetics happening for sure, but it's strange, but I mean, the only reason I think we can buy into it is because the crazy character that Tommy Lee is. You go like, okay, he would have a conversation with his penis. And his penis would talk back to him, especially with how many drugs Tommy
Jason
Lee is in.
Mantzoukas,
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's perfect casting. I don't know if there's it wouldn't be like, I don't know, a guest actor in a voiceover role, but this is Jason Mantzoukas still lose. But one little other thing that was just random, I just remembered from the pilot episode, we get this kind of, the only really lines that Pamela Anderson had was with this Jay Leno appearance. And I don't know if it must have been some kind of rights legal issue, because we've seen so many, going back to OJ or, you know, the Monica Lewinsky season of American Crime Story, where they will use real journalists and comedians of the time in the coverage of their contemporary show. So I was almost surprised we didn't get Lily James sitting next to the original footage of Jay Leno from the 90s, you know, or even deep faked Lily James's face onto the scene from this interview. Because it's like, we could do this in Forrest Gump back in 94.
Yeah.
We can't do this now in 2022. But
We can
it must have been a
remove
legal
Superman's
issue.
mustache. We can get it.
Yeah. But because automatically it's like when you have a performance that Lily James and Sebastian Stan are doing so well as those characters, this guy who's doing Jay Leno, it's like, not working for me. It's pulling me out. But,
not a great
all right.
Jay Leno.
Anything else on Pam and Tommy? I think we're all going to be keeping up with the series.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm glad it's kind of at least meeting expectations, because I was excited about the show, and I'm glad it's going in a different direction than I originally thought. I thought it would be more focused on Tommy and Pam, but now those other characters involved are really, really good and interesting.
Yeah. All right. One more thing to talk about. We're going to squeeze it in tonight. It's the series premiere of Murderville, and it all dropped on February 3rd on Netflix. The first episode is The Magician's Assistant. We all saw that one. We also have seen some other episodes here and there, but we'll mostly focus on that one. And this comedic murder mystery is based on the BBC 3 series Murder in Successville, where each episode a celebrity guest plays the role of a rookie detective, but the guest is not given a script, and he or she must improvise their way through the episode to solve who the true killer is. So it's a very unique show with a lot of people that we like in it. So Kyle, what did you think of Murderville?
I thought it was okay. I think it's an interesting watch. Definitely an easy watch. If you're into like kind of improv-y type stuff, it might be for you. I just thought the show was okay. There's hit or miss jokes. There was one especially corny joke, because I watched both the Conan and the Marshawn Lynch one, where they used a dumb premise of where you are mirroring the movements of another person, and it's kind of a stupid premise. So where I think the show kind of falls flat is in the setup of the premise, but like Will Arnett and the people in those moments do a fantastic job, but the setup and the premise isn't, like, the premise of the original joke is not always there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like it really is dependent of the guest, I feel like, and their kind of chemistry with Will Arnett's character. The guests this season, we have Annie Murphy, Conan O'Brien, Ken Jeong, Kumail Nanjiani, Marshawn Lynch, and Sharon Stone. And again, we all saw the Conan episodes. That's what my review is kind of based off of. And to me, it's like, you can't do wrong with Conan. Like, Conan is he's so used to doing these long taped field pieces and improvising. He's been doing this for years. Like, so of course it's gonna work out. It all depends on how he interact with Will Arnett. And I thought he did, they had a great kind of chemistry together. And there wasn't a moment where I feel like these two completely lost it and break, because it wasn't like an SNL break of where Fallon will make them all laugh for 30 minutes and just kind of completely ruin the sketch. Like, they would maybe break for a second, but they powered through and they kept going. And then all like the background and side characters, I feel like at least we didn't see it. It was edited in a way that they kept going. They did not break. They were like real. And it was really just the rookie detective that was breaking, and sometimes Will Arnett would laugh here or there just because, again, based on the chemistry with someone. But yeah, I was worried at first because I feel like Will Arnett can be sometimes too much. He's playing Terry Seattle, and I was really worried that we're gonna get kind of like too much. And at least in this first episode, there was definitely a lot of moments where he still got me, even though he was over the top. Like, there was a moment where he's like, the magician was like in the interrogation room with him and showing him like a card reveal, and he flips the F out and he's just going, "Oh my, you got," and like Conan's like, nobody would get that excited. Like, it's just like, and that was just so funny. Like, even Conan's like, come on, man. Like, but I gotta ask you guys, what do you think about this actual like mystery element here, where each episode is a 30-minute case, and obviously the rookie detective doesn't know what's going on, but is getting motives and clues throughout the episode. And I only saw the one episode, so you have to tell me if something changed in the Lynch episode. But Conan guessed the right killer. And is it the right answer, or was it something where it's like, well, every suspect had enough like, meat on the bone where they could have made something out of something? Yeah. And so it's like, whoever Conan said, oh, it's suspect 2. It's like, that's right, because of this, this, and this. And if he said suspect 3, you're right, because of this and that. And it's just, so I don't know.
We also don't know what they cut. Maybe there was other parts of the same scenes where they discussed stuff deeper that, I don't know. I think
because not that it matters, because it's such a dumb comedy show. It doesn't matter if the rookie detective gets it right, but I just was curious of what you guys thought.
In Marshawn Lynch episode, he actually gets it wrong. And they mention what he got wrong, and I feel I actually thought there were more clues in Marshawn Lynch's episode than Conan's. I think the guilty person or a not guilty person had like one clue, and if it was like split second, and if you didn't get it, it was like you missed it.
Because they all had like the two main things in the Conan episode was like something about hot sauce and like pet hair. Yeah. And like they all mentioned something with hot sauce or pet hair along the way. So that's why I figured it's like, oh, well, the waitress obviously has access to hot sauce, and her boyfriend got her a dog that she doesn't like. And then the next one is like, oh, I have a bunny and I like a burrito with hot sauce. And the next one was like, so it's like, okay, they all could kind of be correct at the end of the day.
But yeah, I felt like Marshawn Lynch's episode had a few more clues. But also in his episode, it was supposed to be a murder, and it could have been done by any triplet. So it's like the 3 triplets of this mother were the suspects. So I think they needed to make it more clear, But
I did like at the end of the Conan episode, like Conan just went overboard with like he's like, and also suspect 3 is the mom of suspect 2. And then like the suspects are like, I don't know how that would work out math wise. I would definitely be like, it was just like, he was just, going crazy with the theories. I
will say the show, those elements where it goes like 1, 2, like suspect 1, it feels very like HGTV thing when they're doing House Hunters, where they're like, first we go into house 1 and we see this, and then we go into house. So in that way, it's like very formulaic, but Yeah, I wish the setups to the suspects and the setups for the jokes were just a little bit stronger. But once they're in it, like Will Arnett can save it, and even Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is just like this unique character, and you don't know what he's gonna say, and it's like he's funny without realizing he's funny. So it worked out a lot, and Will Arnett played off it pretty well. So,
all right. So are you gonna catch any more? Or are you just going to wait to maybe season 2 when there's another celebrity that you might like?
I think for me, this is all based on the chemistry between the two. No one else in this season I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like a good episode. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of know them all. They all look okay, but you know, Conan was the one that really connected to me. And I think season 2, especially if they're individual episodes and there's no overarching like reason to join them together, I don't personally have a reason to watch the rest of them. I don't think, unless I hear something, you know, crazy happens.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm not excited so much by who's left of the bunch, but I will say it's an easy watch if you just want to put something on and have a laugh. Because I mean, when they do break character, that's when it's like the most exciting. So I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of mood you're in.
All right. Yeah. That's all we got for this week. Next week, though, we're going to do a little bit of a shift. We're talking Super Bowl 56. It's going to become a sports podcast for about a minute, and then we're going to mostly talk about the commercials, halftime show, and all the pop culture moments from the big game. And then Super Bowl is on NBC, and Peacock is dropping the series premiere of Bel-Air, which is kind of the reboot sequel series of course, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So we'll definitely have to check out that new series. In order to watch the next episode of Do or Duncy or to listen to it, you got to follow us on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, the blog, doorduncy.com. And of course, we're live Tuesday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/doorduncy, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram at doorduncy. That's it. That's it for tonight. I got to thank both you guys for joining me tonight. John directing the show, getting it up on YouTube, and then of course the podcast player. I couldn't do without you guys. All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Brewer.
And I'm Cobb Bridger.
And that's all we got for Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.